Interrupted coming to you from the Gold Coast and or Jim Boomba, which is commonly known as Alice Springs East and or Brisbane. Hello.
Just regular old Brisbane, mate. I don't know about you guys, but my phone went absolutely wild at about 18:30 last Wednesday because people mustn't have realised, holy shit, they're not online anymore. Yeah. But we're back. We're back, ladies and gentlemen.
Is everything all right? Are you guys still running? Is it all good?
Yeah,
is it all good?
That's it. It was good news.
It's kind of nice for us, actually. It feels like a little bit of, a bit of space that things can actually happen in between and we can fill people in on.
It was weird not seeing it, though, because I'm not often on here, but I always listen in, as you guys know.
You're having your own private conversations with people that are on there, like Kent's on there, Sammy's on there, Benny Hinton's there, Sophie Grove from the Gold Coast has joined us. Thanks, Soph, for dialing in.
Long-time listener, first-time caller. Thank you, Sophie.
Right. Shawnee Thomas is on the line as well. Brother, thank you so much for taking my call today, man. I've always got your back. It's all about mindset. As you know, we called the Business Axe on for a reason. We had a quick little chat about things, and you are 100% back online, and you're going to continue to smash it, dude. So I'm really, really glad to have those chats. Who else we got? Dane from the Gold Coast is in as well. The long time listener, first time caller. Dane, thanks for listening in.
The big man is actually on annual leave, so he doesn't have to attend this. You're on leave, Dane. Take the lead.
All right, I've got you back, Dano.
And have a look instead, Jane. The fiery red. Tamika, let us know. Tamika's a bit of a fashionista. Let us know what you think of Jane's amazing red hair. And certainly Renee in the office, she's got a bit deeper burgundy than yours. But I tell you what, the Build Support girls, you guys are rocking some awesome hairstyles.
They're rocking the Ranger look, are they?
We're embracing the Ranger, the inner Ranger.
Dan, I don't think you are suitably qualified to comment on anyone's hairstyle.
Mate, I can judge anyone's hairdo because mine's just falling out. So
yeah, that's right. There you go, Jane. Tamika says it's sexy. CJ Wynn's in the house. Bettina says hello. Jen Manuel's in the house. Adam Harmy's listening in as well. Justin, just got your text through, brother. I know you're a busy boy down there in Duntroon, mate. And congrats on getting your finance approved for property number 2. Woo!
Dan, do your kids have more hair than you get?
Nah, they're still struggling along.
Little baldies.
All right, for everyone else out there who's listening in for the first time, my name's Robbie. I'm joined by my wife, Tamara, who's the GM of the business, Dan, who's our senior property coach, and Jane, who's our build support manager. Dane, who's the other amazing property coach who normally joins us on these Wednesday Q&As. He's having a very, very well-deserved break. So he's listening in tonight, which is what I did a few weeks ago when I couldn't make it when I was looking after a very sick Tammy. But I guess Dane's now going to experience it from a user perspective, which is pretty cool. So we're here to answer all your questions about what's going on in the property market, what's going on with ADF transition, what's going on with veteran entrepreneurship. We had an amazing lady come in today, did a podcast with us. She's a civvy, but her dad was a RAF, so she identifies herself as a RAF brat. Yeah. Moved around the bloody Amberley, Tyndall, Adelaide, Newcastle, back up here to Amberley. So that was really great to have her on and talk about female entrepreneurship and female leadership. So that's coming your way real soon.
It's a good one.
So go ahead and type your stuff into the chat there. You guys drive the agenda. There's no slides. There's nothing. Like literally, Tamara and I felt like I was back in bloody basic training. We finished cooking dinner at 15:15. I'm like, right, we need to start up at 10 past. Honey, disappear from here, reappear over there, go. Fucking whoop, 10 minutes, bang, here we are. But yeah, so I've got no slides, no nothing. We're just here rolling. Look on your face, Jane. Welcome to being here live. How was your week, Jane? Tell us, how was your week?
It's been so far. It's only halfway over, but it's been a pretty big week. We've had lots going on in the build support world. We've got lots of still delays with construction happening, so we're just dealing with those as they come in day by day. I sent out an email to all of our clients last week, so everyone's pretty much across, what's going on.
I did see that.
Yeah, more or less. So it's always changing, and it's just something that we have to take as it comes. So, but it's definitely something that we're dealing with.
It's not something we can control. It's not something that it's just specific to us. It's nationwide, like the delays in frames, and we had bushfires. There's a lack of trades due to all the storms that we had last year. That they're still got heaps of work to be doing, especially out west of here. There's so much it's just has such a ripple effect, and it's just. Yeah. If we didn't learn patience through COVID, we're learning it through the build process.
Yeah,
100%.
Jane, you're in a very unique position. Your amazing husband, the man, the myth, the legend himself, Jeffrey. He's a site supervisor for one of the big builders that we use.
He is,
From a jigsaw puzzle perspective and a synchronization perspective, if there's one little hiccup here, it then just has a knock-on effect and delays everyone else. And when you're building 40, 50, 60 houses at the same time with multiple different locations, with multiple different trades and multiple different delays.
Yeah.
I'm a fucking high function individual, not as high as you, Dan, by the way, but I can hold my own in most circumstances. I would hate to try and unfuck that jigsaw every single day.
Yeah, I think a jigsaw is a really good way to put it, because you know, when you have a delay in one part of the build, you then have to reschedule the rest of the build. And it's not only for one build, it might be for, like you said, 20, 30, 40. If a builder's got 100 builds on the go at once, across 3 or 4 supervisors, it's all across the board. Yeah, and you know, they obviously try their best to try and schedule out as far out as they can, but it doesn't always work out that way.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a constant thing, and I've got nights here where I go to bed and Jeff's still up at midnight on the computer trying to
sort it out,
think ahead and get ahead, and it's really tough. It's really tough.
Yeah. Jane, just because I know there's a lot of people who are listening tonight that wouldn't have received that really detailed email that you've provided to everyone who is currently in the build process. But can you just give us like maybe a 30-second or a 60-second snapshot of like what is actually being experienced in there? Like, where are the big delays? Like, what's sort of the headline, I suppose, from that perspective?
Yeah. So long story short, there's nationwide delays in the construction industry. And there's like Tammy touched on before, there's frame supply issues because there's a shortage in timber supply. And that's also now led into like a cabinetry issue because we don't have the timber to make the cabinetry. Not only that, because like Tammy said before, there's a lot of insurance work out there. So all the roofing guys that were building new roofs for our builders have now gone on and started doing insurance work. There's better money in it. It's easy work. That's what they're doing. So they can get better money doing that. So why would they do new builds? We've seen a price increase as well in those kind of things. And then even things like we're now seeing, supply issues with bricks. So some types of bricks, we're looking at 19-week delays. So wherever possible, we're looking at, trying to change the brick type, trying to just keep things moving and just make, put a little efficiencies in there. So, so there's a timber shortage, there's concrete shortages, there's bricklash shortages, roofing shortages. Not only that, the government, when COVID hit, brought in those wonderful grants for people. So there was a huge influx of business and people wanting to build their homes. Yeah. And that also put a lot of pressure on our trade supply. So
it's like a little perfect storm. But I guess, Dan, if I can just jump in quickly, certainly where we Axon, you, Jane, as the build support manager with your 3 amazing ladies that work with you, you're literally piggy in the middle. You're talking to the client who owns a house who wants to build fucking yesterday. You're talking to the builder's construction team who are out there trying to sort out the jigsaw puzzle and all those things that you just spoke about then. So I guess it's, it's almost like the whole recon push versus recon pull, information pull. You're trying to pull the information from this side so you can push it to that side. And like I see you and the girls do it. I've never done this on the live before. I see you and the girls doing this every single day, being pulled from fucking pillar to post. People sending RFIs left, right, and center, and you're certainly trying to answer them. I saw something profound this week, though, when one builder had let's call it an 8 or 9 week delay on wooden frames. They didn't actually say this, but in metaphoric terms, they're like, fuck this, let's just build the house building a steel frame. And they probably wore 15 grand to make that changeover. But in the name of keeping the clients happy and keeping it moving along, they changed it across, and it was zero cost variation for the client, and now that client's going to get their house built quicker.
Yeah.
So there is phenomenal buy-in from everybody. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. It's important to note, though, with that, it's not an easy thing to do. So a normal carpenter doesn't have the right tools to just go and erect a steel frame. So the fact that particular builder has done that, they've done it twice now, actually.
Right.
The fact they've been able to do that, it's a big deal. So, it might be an extra $10,000 that it's costing them just in the steel as opposed to timber. But imagine what it's costing them to have the actual trades to construct the frame. So it's a very, very different game.
Even the steel is starting to get shortages now because people were changing over. And you're absolutely right. Those grants that everyone was so excited for, it's done amazing things for the construction industry in terms of the amount of builds. But and I think as well, even with the timber shortages, like COVID has been such a big thing, but we've all forgotten about the massive bushfires that we had at the beginning of last year as well. That had a huge effect as well.
We've had bushfires, floods, COVID, you name it, we've had it.
And the wonderful Natalie's just dialing in as well. So make that 3 team. One of my clients just had that change happen to them today as well. So there we go.
Yeah. But the builders are doing things. They're trying to find efficiencies and they're trying to keep things moving any way they can. So they're doing that by changing suppliers and changing trades or adding new trades. Now, also not an easy thing to do because, as Tammy said before, the construction industry is so busy. If you're out of work at the moment, there may be a really good reason why. Yeah. So we would rather our clients have awesome trades that the builders have always worked with that are working on their properties. They're going to get a shit hot property at the end of it than have something that's like shonky and been thrown together by a crappy tradesperson.
And if you think of it as well, like the people sort of around our age, well, the people older than us, it was very much when you finish school, a lot of people would go out and get a trade. And the tradies have a dime a dozen now because the lack of kids leaving school and going into trades has dramatically dropped.
This is their new trade that they want to take up now.
Yeah, it is true. They're IT. They're right into IT security, IT infrastructure, building apps, which is amazing, but it's also at a cost.
Yeah,
we need some fingers on the tools.
Yeah,
we do. It's a good time to be a
Dan, I know you love this part of it. Noah, can you just bring up Benny Hinton's comment there, please? It's all about focusing on those things and the macro picture. So we need to focus our energies on things we can change or influence. We can't get hung up on the issues in the construction. We need to show some understanding to the building industry. They are doing all they can. No one wants to have prolonged construction progress because no one makes any money from that. So it's certainly, Jane, you live this every day. It's not the owner versus the builder, and then you're being the piggy in the middle, like we spoke about before. It's everyone's got to work together and just understand that this is, dare I say it, unprecedented times as far as that goes.
It is, and it's really, we always tell people, and people don't realize this, but the builders really don't make any money until that last claim.
Yeah, exactly.
So they don't want their site sitting there with nothing happening. They don't want their site sitting there with frames not being able to put up because the chippies are too busy. They don't want any of that. They don't want concrete slabs sitting there in the open for too long. Yeah, it's in their best interest to get these properties finished as efficiently and as well done as possible.
Thanks for
that. That's 100% right. Like 100 couldn't have said it better.
But you got to think about it, Jane. Like, you don't pay for your frame before the frame goes up. They go and do all the work. They pay for the frame up front. They cover all of the expenses. They cover all the trades to do that.
Yeah.
But even if they've got the roof on and they're doing additional work for the fixing and everything like that, like the builder is carrying that entire bill until they can actually make the claim. So they might, they get to enclose and they might start to fit out the interior and stuff like that without you guys having even paid the enclosed frame at that point in time.
Exactly.
That's more cost that they're covering the entire
current activity is the name of the game. Yep.
Yeah, that's right.
It is just a huge battle that they're experiencing at the moment. I mean, our team and our members have been wonderful in their understanding of, okay, we appreciate there's been some challenges going on here. I always speak about defense members being professionals at being able to wait. Like, as long as you understand what you're waiting for, generally, like, you're the best people at waiting. You've got the most amount of patience, you're understanding. And as long as you know why it's happening, then you're pretty understanding from that perspective.
Yeah.
I appreciate the volatile and uncertain and ever-changing circumstances, I suppose. And Nicky Otto's, thank you for your words there, mate. Do not envy the build support team at all right now. Nick, you've built a house with us, buddy, but that was the good, like, Jane.
The good old days.
We refer to the good old days because we've got Renee with us now and Haley's sort of coming up, been with us for 9, 10 months, whatever. Now they're experiencing all these things going on. But They're like, when I first started, it wasn't like this, and that's referred to the good old days. So,
well, I've got 10 years experience in construction, so this is all bloody new for me as well.
Yeah.
But for a couple of girls, like they've sort of come on and they've really come on, and they're learning the same stuff that I am, really. It's only the fact that I've got a little bit more technical knowledge that I can sort of understand, like why a frame can't be done this way, or why it has to be done in this order, or you know, it's unprecedented times. It's pretty freaky stuff, actually.
If you don't know it, you can have a list of RFIs, request for information, and go, hey, Jeffrey, answer those for me tonight. Can you please? And come back and you're the wisdom of knowledge. Like
I do that all the time.
It's a really cool little arrangement that you've got there. Like even if it's not a house that he's building, you know, or a terrace product that another builder's doing or whatever else. I know just because, you know, he loves you, he loves us, he loves the industry. You know, how long's Jeff been doing that job for?
He's been in construction for over 20 years, but he was a tiler before that. So now he's been supervising for about 5 years. Yeah,
right. Okay. Yeah.
So long enough to know. Yes. No enough, I think. It goes all right. Everyone seems to like his houses. Yeah. So
well, they absolutely do. Speaking of that, Jane, earlier this week I had the great pleasure of actually going out to the handover of one of Jeffrey's properties. That got handed over. It's an owner-occupier house. These guys have poured their heart and soul. They've got some beautiful shell-styled tiling as well. So Jeff would have loved laying all of that tile back in his day, I'm sure. But I'll tell you what, mate, like the amount of owner-occupiers that did benefit from that stimulus package that came through that are now starting to see their house come to fruition is just, it's bloody phenomenal just to see some of those people getting a real head start from that perspective, hey?
Mm. Yeah, you know, it's a very true statement. You know, it's I think we've probably got 20 or so owner-occupied builds on at the moment, Jane, as a guess. Like out of the 60 or 70 builds you guys are doing, I think at least a third of them would be owner-occs. You know, first home owner grant, home builder grant, DOHAS, HPAS, like all that stuff that everyone has been educated by us. Yep. People are implementing hand over fist right now, which is really, really awesome.
Yeah, and actually while you're on that, I just see Dane's just put a question up saying, apart from the delays, what have you found the most challenging aspect of the build support in the last 6 months?
Yeah.
And that there is it.
Right.
Is actually dealing with owner-occupiers. So not because they're more difficult.
What do you mean by that? Yeah, that's an interesting statement. I know what you mean, but I'd love you to just explain yourself, woman.
Yeah. Okay, I will. Give me a minute. It's not because they're horrible people or anything like that. It's just that it's a different beast. It's a different beast. Like they're emotionally involved. They care. They want to choose things like tiles and bench tops and, you know, change the flooring and do a different, you know, more plush carpet and better underlay and all these things. You know, that's all the things they do.
And Kent and Tash, yes, all of that. Like you guys, all of that stuff that we did together months and months and months and months ago. Yeah, that stuff.
Yeah. But that's the thing, like a lot of that stuff happens before they come to build support. But when they get to build support, we're finding that there's stuff that we don't know about that the client has done with the builder or with the property specialists or coaches. And then we're finding out after the fact and we're like, well, shit, like we need to figure out what happened there. Or, you know, I've got one at the moment that I'm working with quite closely. And it's her dream home. So her heart is really in this. And there's up to, I think, 23 variations.
Wow.
And each variation's got like multiple items. And, you know, this particular woman, she's going out and she's looking at stone samples and tile samples, and she knows what she's talking about and she knows what she wants. So like it's a, very similar. And don't get me wrong, I love it. Like I did this stuff back in my BDM days. I love dealing with owner occupiers, but it's a different beast. It's just different. And we've gone.
It's funny because that is something that we like the team teaches the clients is, especially when it is an investment property, you want to go really neutral so that it's really easily rented out. You want something that's going to keep its value, all these kind of things. But then, and Robbie and I are so like we follow that by the T because we have investment properties that I've never been inside. I would not have a clue what the kitchen looks like, what the tiles look like. I actually don't even know, but the numbers work. But this time, when we're building our own home and, this is our dream home, then we are taking that extra care. And, we spent an hour and a half at the tile shop, and then Robbie's like, all right, so we're done. And then they pulled out the wheel of grout colours and said, so do we want to do contrasting colours or matching colours? And Robbie literally said, I'm out. He went outside, got in his car and drove away and left me there.
But now I see grout colours all the time, and I'm like, oh, that'll look really different if it was a light colour grout. So you're just not aware. You don't know what it is, I suppose.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
But you know what, Jane? I know that, yourself and Dan and the rest and a few others are going out to see Kent and Tash on Friday. And
so
you're going to welcome
excited.
them to their brand new home, and you're going to walk through it. And so your instant reaction then makes all of this other stuff you're talking about so worth it.
Oh, 100%. I love it.
Yes, I know you do. It's so good. So
I love it. It's just a challenge.
It's a very, very unique part of our business anyway, the fact that we project manage the build for our clients, so they don't get dragged down into the vortex of trying to deal with the builder's construction team in most cases a rookie in doing it. Obviously there is so much more work that goes into doing it as an owner occupier perspective, but the outcome is so much more satisfying because, our clients that you guys have built their houses for, they're going to move into it.
Yeah, exactly.
Go for it, Dan.
Yeah, I was going to say, it was actually funny last night. I was coaching some people who first reached out to us in 2019, right? And the gentleman, so they're MWDU at the moment, the gentleman was like, the numbers, the finance, absolutely everything, like straight up and down. He's like, yep, I get it. Yes, this, yes, that. And then we started just having a general conversation. I was like, look, to be honest, if you really want to go to town, you can choose your tile colors for all I care. And he literally, the color, I could see the color drain from his face. There was nothing that he feared more. It was like the numbers were all okay, but as soon as I need to start thinking about colors and tiles and everything like that, he's like, no. I'm not interested in that. I just want the numbers to work over here. So it's a very different mindset when you're thinking about the investment property versus your own home from that perspective. Eh?
Well, Benny Hinton's commented right there, please, Noah. With our investment property, I left it to James to sort it all out. As long as it makes money, I really don't care. But when it comes to our own home, guaranteed Beck won't leave me alone. So, it's exactly right. And AD, Tony Evans, I'll get to your question in a second. If you can just bring up Sammy Wynn's first response there, Noah. And this is a little thing. It was hard to build as an owner-occupier, knowing we'll soon be turning it into an investment property. And you want to add those personal touches, but keep it simple enough that the next person will love it just as much as what we do. Sammy, that was a little fence-sitting activity that I told you were going to do back in the day. Like you're going to live in that house for, a couple of years-ish or so, and you've made it absolutely amazing between you and your mate. And certainly, ladies and gentlemen, that is a big, majestic 2-story property that looks amazing in the sunset that we've had plastered all over our socials and email stuff for the last little while. Meet the lovely owner there. But I said, look, I'm going to allow you to pour a little bit of emotional capital into this house because I want it to turn out the way that it did. But then, of course, you're going to have this little umbilical cord. Sorry for the crudeness. You're going to have this little umbilical cord. As you said, it's hard to build as an owner-occupier, knowing it will soon turn into an investment property, unless you've really got a supreme mindset where you can just let that door hit you on the bum on the way out, cut that umbilical cord, and only focus on the numbers. That's difficult to do in most circumstances. So, Sammy, I'm coaching you and your mate in the office next week, as you know, after you're coming down to see Jace to go through your Wealth Your Way program. And we'll talk about that in person, because at the end of the day, we agreed at the first meeting, the reason why you bought that house is to make it into a money-making machine one day. You've just had the amazing pleasure of going through the keys being handed over. Everyone's seen the videos of me standing out there with Natalie handing you over the pack and everything. Tammy, you made really great comments when you saw that video for the first time. You just saw the glee and the happiness in sort of, Sammy's face. So, you've had that experience awesome. Now, but I can replace it with something else. The glee and the happiness you'll feel when rent hits your bank account and you don't have to pay the fucking mortgage anymore. That'll be another glee and happiness moment. So we're not there yet, but that's when you turn it into an investment property.
Absolutely. It's a ripper. Hey, Noah, can you please bring up the question from AD Evans there? I want to throw that out to the crew first and foremost. So, interested whether the team think the current conditions will wash through, or are we looking at the new normal? Hard to imagine government introducing policy to deliberately slow down the construction industry. Now, I'll go ahead and assume he's talking about the new normal being the construction industry, not wearing masks like COVID. So that would be the new normal that we're talking about there. RT, I'll go to you first.
I've got to interpret a little bit here as well. So the current conditions, there's a few things there.
Are we talking about delays or?
I think so.
Government introducing policy to deliberately, yeah. So, Tony, my understanding is the articles and everything that I read when I'm looking at this stuff every single hour of every single day. I know that the Department of Immigration is looking at relaxing some of the immigration laws to allow timber from overseas to be brought in, for instance, to try and sort out the supply issues. So, I guess I totally agree with you, mate. The government trying to slow down the construction industry even further is very, very unlikely to occur. I guess the only lever that the government's got to pull would be from a fiscal perspective, i.e. APRA, the Australian Prudential Regulatory Authority, and the Reserve Bank of Australia. So APRA could put in tighter lending standards, i.e. they might have you might have to put a minimum of a 20% deposit down for a period of time. That'd fucking wipe out a lot of people, owner-occupied and investors. And I'm not saying that's not going to occur. That would be a fucking massive lever to pull. But they've got it to their arsenal there. And certainly the Reserve Bank of Australia could raise interest rates. But at the end of the day, the RBA governor, Philip Lowe, has been talking now for the last couple of years saying they're not going to raise interest rates until 2023, 2024 at the minimum. And even then it's going to be very slow and steady, once every 3 or 4 months, 0.1 or 2% of the bloody interest rates rise. So it ain't going to go from Deb got some loans approved. Justin's online before. Got it. So I said during my opening stanza, got his finance approved. Him and Kat for his second property with us. Amazing. 2.36 as an investment loan was one of their fucking interest rates. 2.36. I'm fucking like, Jesus, that is so cheap from a monetary perspective. So, but here's the thing. When the banks were assessing whether Justin and Kat could service the loan, they would have automatically applied a 2% loading to that. So they're like, all right, what if interest rates were 4.36? Could the repayments still be set based on the cost of living, incomings and outgoings, et cetera, et cetera? So it's certainly something that needs to be in the forefront of everyone's minds, that whilst there are big levers there to pull, the banks are already placing in their own buffers and risk management strategies before they even lend you the money in the first place. So I guess, Tony, long answer to a short question. I don't think that they're, from a material and shortages perspective, the things that Jane so very well explained, that's not going to get any worse from a government policy perspective. But if they want to slow down the top of the funnel, as it's called, i.e. how many houses are being built, they do have the capacity to do so from a fiscal perspective. But I think that's very unlikely as well, because Australia's still got a housing shortage under its sleeve.
Demand's too high.
Talking about interest rates, it's made me pull up a post that our own Dave Simpson posted the other day, and it was a Facebook memory from 9 years ago. And he posted, if anyone has a home loan, the best advice I could give is to call your bank and renegotiate your interest rate. I rang my bank and asked to renegotiate the rate, and they offered to go from 6.8 to 6.5%. Within 2 phone calls, I then got them to reduce it to 6%. So he's there like spruiking how amazing
what
it
year
was.
Was that, Tammy? 2012?
2012.
12. Okay, right.
Yeah. So isn't that crazy? Like now we're talking about interest rates that low, whereas back then, if we could get a 6, low 6 or even a high 5, we were like, that's so good.
Yeah,
so it's just all perspective as well, Yeah, we've had interest rates pretty good now that now you go, 3%. Oof.
Yeah, you just offered it. Yeah.
Jano, what do you think? Are we at the new norm, or is it going to revert back to a little bit of the old?
Look, it's hard to say, and if I had a crystal ball, I'd be able to tell you. From being on the ground and talking to all the supervisors and talking to the construction managers every day like I do, they don't see an end in sight. That's the sort of terminology that they're saying. There's no sort of light at the end of the tunnel. But I think they're going to come up with ways, as as professionals and as builders, they're going to come up with ways of trying to innovate and try to make things easier and tighten timeframes a little bit. That's what I see. I can't see an end to it, the delays as such. But I think Robbie's right. I think if they wanted to, they could slow it down, but I don't think that they will. I think the construction industry is just going to keep going. There's just too much demand. We see what's happening with the rental prices around the place, and the vacancy rates, in areas that like everywhere that we're certainly building. There's such a high demand there. They can't stop building. Where are people going to live?
Gold Coast is even at 0.03% or something ridiculously crazy, or 0.3%. And yeah, I agree. They're not going. The government's not going to enforce something when we've got such a housing shortage, and they're not going to stop. No,
yeah,
I don't see it.
Just in case anyone's wondering, that little baby crying is not coming from my house. Shit has not changed that much in 2 weeks. Right? Just relax. Dan, what are your sentiments?
Yeah, I swear just because you're in the room, Jane, that they're like, "Mama."
Yeah,
no, they don't really like me that much. They prefer their dad. He's way more fun.
Just because you're busy.
Amazing things about him tonight.
Absolutely.
Dan, what about you? Have you got any alternate views to what we spoke about? Because your wife is an economist.
I would say short run it's going to get worse. Long run it'll balance out. So what I mean by that is I think, Jane, you sort of said there's no real end in sight. I tend to agree. I probably think particularly over the next couple of years as we reopen up the international migration rates and everything like that, I think we'll probably start to see a deepening of the problem. But as we go into that deepening of the problem, like you've sort of highlighted, people will figure out smarter ways to do things. And just from a pure economics perspective, when there's money to be made, more participants are going, very, very, very bloody theoretical terms, more participants will enter the market when there's more money to be made. So when there's a high level of demand and the money goes up and it's available to be made, there's a gap in the market, more people will enter the market in order to profit from that. Therefore, I think that it'll be one of those things that as that time ticks over, maybe the next couple of years or so, you will have like an increase in those people that are holding trades, for example, Tam, you spoke about earlier. Like you can't flick a switch and go, there's 200 more tradies. Mm-hmm. It's like it takes them years and years and years to get their trade ticket. So it's a relatively inelastic capability. It just takes time to fix it. But I mean, when there's lots and lots of money to be made by tradies out there, I can give you the hot tip. There'll be lots of people who go out and become tradies because they want money in their skyrocket. And that's just how the economy works.
Yeah.
So
the government could do a lot more for the apprentices.
Yeah.
Short
run, it'll be pretty average. Get in there when you can.
And Lukey Hughes, that's why I got back to you today on that post that you placed, mate, that you put on. House prices across the board have gone up between 10 and 13%. So a $250,000 house now is now $275,000 to build, and then some. Yeah. So it's it's across the board. So, but at the end of the day, that product is now not $446,000. It's now pretty much $500,000 to buy someone else. So someone else is going to have to pay that. So I guess it's one of those things, and certainly Dan, the amazing success story that you posted on our page on Friday last week with one of our amazing clients, Sean, that was his second property with us. He's now already put an EOI down for his third. He was the one that was not scared during the COVID times and took a plunge to build a house in the Newcastle region and fucking made 150 grand of equity in the meantime. Plus, right?
Add 50% to that.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's one of those things. Everyone who's online right now or has already built a house with us, you have got your flag in the sand and you are benefiting from the market right now, regardless of if it takes another 2 or 3 months to build your fucking house. If you think about the bigger picture, what's the net outcome going to be? And only focus on worrying about those things that you can actually control. No, you can't ring the builder and tell them to fucking prioritize your job. It just doesn't.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Right?
And like to give Luke some context, like you're like, oh, it's 200 days in New North. That property took 200 days plus to build.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and actually,
how good is that? It took 200 days to build, and have a look at the back end of it. It's not going to happen for everyone. But...
And we were really spoiled up here in Queensland too by having such short build time frames. Like those build contracts being even 160 days is super short. Down in Victoria, and even some of the builders up here that I know, they're over 200 days is their standard. So we're like really quite spoiled to have such quick builds.
And I think that's also what I was saying before about the whole rate situation, because we've had it so good for so long, and then when things even revert back to what things were or what they should be, then people go, oh, that sounds insane. But I mean, you're still going to get your house, and it's still going to be amazing. But I think it's just a little bit of patience.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I'm going through a build at the moment. So I understand. Like when I get my little EOT piece of paper, I'm like, oh, that's awesome. Thanks. I really appreciate it. But at the end of the day, like, I certainly don't think there's any malice in what they're doing. It's just like, we're trying our best. We want to get this done. Here's an extension of time to let you know as we go through the process that we're going to be a little bit longer to get this done. At least they're giving you the information. At least they're communicating. You don't just get to the point where your contract end date was meant to finish. They go, by the way, we need another 3 months, guys. We'll see you then. Like, at least you're knowing what's happening and you're understanding it from a process.
Yeah. And Ray Brown's made a good comment. Hey, Leroy, good to see you online, brother. Like, you don't want to slap happy wham bam, thank you ma'am build job, because then you're going to have bloody problems for years and years and years afterwards. So you do want that, that quality. That quality sort of must come shining.
We've been saying that for our own property, haven't we? Where we're like, take as long as you need, as long as it's good. Don't rush this.
Yeah.
Look at this old Dane from the Gold
Coast. He's trying to tell us now we can't shut him up. Secrets.
Mate, did you see how Ben and Beck Hinton, they've got their wedding anniversary? I think it's anniversary. And they're in lockdown. They're I think a bit of Uber Eats and maybe some chocolate dipped strawberries or something from.
Oh. What are you doing your Uber Eats, mate?
No, Woolies.
Chocolate strawberries. She makes chocolate strawberries.
Had them today.
Fuck, what else was I going to say? I was going to ask something then, and I can't remember now.
Something to do with Dane.
And then Dane has also said rissoles.
Rissoles, mate.
Jess is a lucky girl.
Yes, she is. I can answer Dane's question about the land. I reckon we've got a Dane to do that.
In broad terms, I'm happy to share this. We won't give away some trade secrets tonight, Dane, but I'm happy to let people know that we're not just sitting on our hands and relying on other people to find land for us now. So this is how it used to be. We had very, very limited. So Noah, if you can just put up Dane's question, please, so that people know what I'm answering, what I'm responding to. This is how it used to be, right? So as you guys know, we work very hard to make sure we've got access to the very best team: mortgage broker, solicitor, accountant, builders, property manager, depreciation guys, building inspectors, everyone, right? Now, the person who's going to erect the house, the fucking builder, is very, very important that you choose the right one. They're going to have the quality. They're going to have the right access to materials and trades, and not every builder builds in every location. So we've got access to probably 5 or 6 different builders here in Southeast Queensland, and they've built a house for me. They've built a house for you, Dan. They've built a house for Adam. They've built a house for James. So we as the Axon crew use the same builders. We can't put any more skin in the game as far as that goes. How it used to be was, so there's the developers who own the land and the builders who build the houses. Righto, Captain Obvious, but I'm just making a separation now. Developers are not builders. There are very, very few developer builders, but that's a different thing. And the golden rule, ladies and gentlemen, is this. Please listen to me carefully for the next 30 seconds, which will probably be 2 minutes. The golden rule is this. He who has the gold makes the rules. That's life. That's a life bit of advice there, right? Gold can be anything. I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about whoever's fucking holding the cards plays the game. Getting access to land is the hardest thing. So what we used to do was, and developers are fucking ruthless. They don't give a shit what house goes on the block of land. They pretend they care who buys the block of land, and they want owner-occupiers to buy the blocks of land. But as soon as old mate in the sales booth is fucking ticked off that lot, he gets paid his bloody commission from the sale, and he moves on to the next one because they're releasing hundreds of blocks at a time, right? So they're trying to keep a bit of a cap on what's going on from an owner-occupied and investor perspective, and that's all good. He who has the gold makes the rules. So we were relying on the builders having relationships with the developers to source the land. Sometimes the builders would go out there and do what's called put and call, where they would take 5 or 6 blocks off the market themselves, sign formal contracts that if they can't sell it to someone else in a specific time period, they've got to pay the $300,000 per block. So if a builder takes 4 of them off the market, there's 1.2 big ones that they've got their kahunas in a big fucking stretcher, that if they can't find someone like you all to bloody buy that block of land, who then obviously, we facilitate that for you, they've got to buy the block of land themselves. But it gives you security of the block of land that you're not fighting with every other Tom, Dick and Harry because the builder's got it in his back pocket per se. That still does happen, but now the developers are just drip feeding blocks to builders because the demand is so high from every other fucking Tom, Dick and Harry. But they understand that they need to keep relationships with those builders because when the demand does drop off one day, they're going to be ringing their builders and like, oh, we need a few sales this week. Have you got a few more clients? That's how it used to be before the demand went through the roof. I swear my fucking 2 minutes is going to be up in a second. But now we've taken matters into our own hands. So we've still got that happening and the builders are getting drip fed their blocks. But now we're educating you all to be able to then get your names on the list and register for the estates being open. We're now taking control and we are facilitating the sourcing of blocks for you owner-occupiers to move into these brand new estates. So I guess we've got a bit of a double dip going on there. We get access to more blocks. We get access, therefore we can help more people get into a market where it's extremely tight, whereby a normal punter would have fucking no idea how to make all that happen. So in broad terms, that's the initiative that we've taken. What strategies, Dane Roche from Gold Coast, first-time listener, what strategies you've been using to secure lots? I hope that makes sense to everyone else as well. So I'd love to hear your feedback there in the chat box. There you go. That was about 30 seconds, Jane. Give or take.
Yeah, give or take, mate. Give or take.
Yeah.
Dan, anything else to add, buddy? Because you're the one that's pioneered this. You and Dane have pioneered.
Yeah. So there has been a little bit of that happening. Another element that we have been toying with a little bit is being flexible with exactly the location that you're going to. So in previous times, it's been like, we're going to narrow into this location, and that's the only place we're going to. Whereas at the moment, we've got more of a, I suppose, a point and shoot objective, where it's like when something that is amazing pops up, and this is just the thing that I do myself. Like, I don't choose necessarily one location and say I must go there. I'll look for individual locations now. I'll be like, that now has 2 blocks of land available in that specific location or in all of Southeast Queensland. Let's go get those 2 for our clients. Or let's go over here. Let's do that. Let's go and grab that. So we've been doing that a lot more as well. And just some of our clients, particularly those that are in their second or third property with us, having the ultimate versatility to just go shopping anywhere around Australia is bloody phenomenal from being able to do that rather than just being very selective from that location. So remaining flexible is key, but at the same time, never jeopardizing on the location. There must be the 7 ingredients: the education, the medical, the retail, the transport, booming population growth, diminishing land supply, and the right amount of community services and facilities there for those people around to be able to enjoy living in that area. So never ever sacrificing the quality of the land. I would rather wait an extra 6 months for the best block of land than get a piece of shit tomorrow, in short.
Yeah. There you go. See, it's the world that we live in. Tammy, it's all you hear me talk about now really is access to land, access to blocks. We've got probably have had now for the last 3 months. It's a bit of a revolving fucking thing that goes around. We've got about 30 clients that are sitting on our stock list, as we call it, and we're literally fighting to find properties for them every single day. And we find a handful and it goes off. But then there's a few more people that get accepted into our success package and then they jump back on again. So it's been, Dan, you're the ops manager. It's about 30 or so clients, hasn't it, for the last 3 months, quite frankly.
Yeah, so it was probably got up a touch over 30 is a relatively good number, I find, because like it sort of flows through from that perspective, and most people get a pretty exceptional property coming through their way in a relatively smart time. But yeah, it's gone down a little bit now because we have had some pretty phenomenal successes of late with being able to secure brilliant properties for our clients. Yeah. And come next week, it'll be exceptionally full again, to be perfectly honest.
I was going to say, because you and I are coaching some amazing people, and Dane, when he comes back on, has got 4 or 5 clients sitting there ready to go as well. So, the top of our funnel per se for us to be able to educate, coach, mentor, and provide services to. So then Tammy and her team at sort of the back end can make it all happen. That ain't slowing down anytime soon either. So it's an interesting little it's an interesting little dynamic at the moment. Jane, I know you and the girls are like, sweet, we just got the keys handed over and we got found a tenant within 2 days and the depreciation report's all done and the final letter's been sent and they filled out a survey. Look at those 4 clients are now all finished. And we come next week, we're like, here's 6 more at the front end. Yeah. You're like, oh, fucking man.
Like, when do we get a break?
But it's also like, just to touch on what Dan was just saying as well, like to make sure those 7 ingredients, because it would be all too easy for us to just flog some shitty property or shitty block of land out the back of Whoop.
Jim Boomba.
Yeah,
Boy, I like Jim Boomba.
But out the back of Whoop, East Alice Springs included. But that would be all too easy. When you're saying that there is that land supply issues, and there are clients waiting, in our process for us to find those properties, but we're not going to just bust on our processes and Dane Dubbo. Maybe not Dubbo.
Yeah. Well, it comes down to these fundamentals, right, Tam? Because sure, you can go out and buy one property, but if that property does nothing and has a shit, like when I say nothing, I mean doesn't go up in value and it doesn't have a growing rental yield and everything like that, guess what? You get one property.
Yeah.
But if you go and find the right location where the property's going up in value, there becomes a big chunk of equity sitting there, and the rent continues to increase year on year, I should say, then that property is going to allow you to leverage from one property to the next and build a portfolio. And that's what's going to allow you to continue to do those micro steps every single day and week in order to allow you to have great results in the long term. That's all it is about.
Yeah, because let me just expand on that. And Adam, what you've just said there is absolutely spot on, mate. It's very personalized to everyone's circumstances. So it's not just that stock list that I'm talking about, internal term. It's not just a list of names. It's a list of names. It's a list of when they need to get their finance approved that suits their strategy. They might be on a savings plan. Mum might be waiting to go back to bloody work after maternity leave. So so we've got to time it correctly as far as that goes. We've got a particular price point, and we've got a type and style of house as well. Sometimes we've even got the rental yield there to make the cash flow work. Because our property down in Melbourne, Tam, $700,000 property, we get $400 a week rent. That ain't going to work for some other people. So it's.
But we did buy it for what?
500, right? So it's gone up by a couple of $100,000. Correct. So I mean, what we're talking about here is we absolutely hand select and monitor and fight for information for every single client, not for just a property and not just the location, but it's got to suit everything else about their circumstances as well. So Dane Roche, don't call me if there's a new IGA at Alice Springs. Yeah, so this is fucking so find out. And then Ray Brown said integrity on finding the right investment is what you guys excel at. But mate, it is because, Ray, as a veteran yourself, brother, as the saying goes, I can
Don't use the
saying. One goat, and you're a goat fucker forever. So if we do the wrong thing by one Defence Force member, everyone's going to know about it fucking like wildfire. So it's, it's one of those things. I'd rather have fucking 50 people that we're waiting to find properties for, and they know we've got their back, as Zach Jordan put in there before. Zach, sorry I didn't read out your comment, brother. But when you know that we've got your back, and when we ring you and go, hey, something's come up, I need you to now have a look at this, you're like, sweet. I've been waiting here for bloody 2 months, and I know the boys and girls have got me something absolutely bloody awesome. So no, all those things that Tammy you've just spoke about, Dan, and even Adam to chime in there is really, really important to me to make sure it was. And then Benny Hinton says it was only one time. Well, that's just it, mate. We only get one shot at our reputation, and that's unfortunately every second Wednesday night. So.
At least only every second now, not every Wednesday.
Yeah. What else we got going on? What else? I've got one little final thing I want to pass on, but we've got 10 minutes to go, so I'll keep the floor open for other comments going on there. Benny Hinton, I love seeing Dan or Tammy's reaction when they need to read a funny comment in the comment section. Robbie's on a rant, and they are laughing. Yes, mate.
It's pretty distracting.
I'm trying not to read them.
Yeah, it's pretty distracting when you're trying to talk about something, and everyone else on the screen is laughing.
Yeah.
I want to read that comment. I want to be able to see what that comment actually says.
And we don't see every single comment that comes up. So I know there's been a few people that have said hello, and then the other comments come out. We can only see 5 or 6 there. So, Mum, I know you're watching. I apologise. I didn't acknowledge your existence here.
And sometimes it moves pretty quickly, and you're like, what was that?
And then Brady Campbell even spoke before about his voting number 1 for Axon to be the first 3D printer of houses. So that might be on our vision board for one day.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Move over helicopter.
And certainly, Noel, we spoke about that one with Lukey Hughes before, which is no dramas at all. What, Dan, I know you've had some ripping coaching sessions. Is there any sort of story from the trenches from your perspective? I'm going to share with everyone that little story from the trench that I shared with the team today about a coaching, actually a little connection call I had last night, but I'd be keen to know, mate, if anything springs up to mind. Sammy Wynn, she said she's got to head off. Love you, Sammy. See you next week, my dear. And just quickly, Dan, Ray Brown, I've already answered your question, mate, about whether interest rates are going to go up in the world. Rewind 20 minutes. Go watch the replay. Sorry, mate.
Yeah, there's a quick little snippet. Mate, I've been doing a lot of time actually this week is just great for it because I'm going to 2 different owner-occupier key handovers this week. Awesome. The first one was with some wonderful clients that we first started speaking to. They've got their young fellow, George, is like 3 days apart in age from James as well. So we've been going through those first-time parenting joys with their own frustrations and happinesses concurrently as well. So it was really wonderful to be able to attend the key handover for some people that have followed through that journey so significantly, and just the emotion or the description of it being, it feels so surreal for them to have finally gotten to that point in time. It's been something they've been working on so diligently. Like Zach Jordan was sort of speaking about, there was some significant delays to their land being available over certain periods of time. So for them to finally reach that stage after taking that property off the market probably like 18 months ago, maybe 2 years, it's been quite a long journey for those guys. So for them to finally be into that was just absolutely special to be there. And I'm actually counting down. I'm counting down to Friday morning. I was actually speaking to both Kent and Junior earlier today. Just a couple of little cheeky messages on the back channel to make sure that they know that I'm going to be there. And I'm more interested in seeing Kent's shed and what he's done out in the bloody double bay garage out the back than what's going on in the main house. So
he's pretty proud of his shed.
It's one of those things when it's your forever home, or it's the home that you're going to spend a really significant amount of time in. I just love being there to experience the joy and the love and passion that each individual has for their own house that they've started to create from scratch. There you go. Tash 0600. As I said today, if the kids are awake at 5, I'll be there at 6.
What?
I'm not going to be there at 6.
Jane's like, I won't be making it at 6
Don't
o'clock.
start the party without me.
Yeah, there you go.
Or that's like we've got to be there from 6 o'clock tomorrow night to still be there at 6 a.m. on
Oh, well, I can do that.
I
Language.
can vouch for that. You could do that easily.
What can I say?
Sullivan, you're another legend, man. I can't wait to go down to you guys when your own home gets finished as well, mate. So there's just lots of really wonderful people that in the next 6 to 12 months are going to have their own home that they're going to raise families in, or they're going to retire and they're going to be there for the rest of their life. So, that's what I'm really loving at the moment is just I've got a real passion for helping people put together their forever home.
Yeah.
Oh, because here's the thing. I'm going to save my other little bit for Robbie's rant on Friday. All right?
Good job.
So tune in for that. And we've got a little surprise for everyone for Robbie's rant on Friday as well.
Tamara's like,
here's the thing.
It's a surprise for everyone because no one else knows about it apart from
Tamara's like, what the fuck
I'm
is
just telling it as a surprise. Here's the thing, mate. I love what you just said then, that you, as the coach, because as you know, as everyone knows, most people know, for those that fucking don't, the coach does the initial call. The coach screens said client. The coach accepts client to do a coaching session. Then that coach then just puts together the strategy, works out all the finance, has the conversation with the mortgage broker, sync matrix, timeline, obstacles, success package, fucking you name it. And then the coach hands the client over to the property specialist. Research, risk, process, contracts, finance, etc., etc. They then hand it over to Jane, your team, and then you take them through the fucking 200 plus days of the build.
The fun part.
So it's literally months and months and months, Dan, since you as the coach, mate, made that initial call, or did that screening call via the discovery or connection call, and for you to just speak with such heart and speak with such care about the end product is a fucking real testament to you, mate. Like it's a great way that as the person who allowed them to even use our services in the first instance, because you can't buy your way in. We don't say yes to everybody. We're very selective in who we work with. The fact that you love it just as much as what they do. Yes, Tammy, you're right. You know, the fact that you love it just as much as what they do, mate, is excellent. And you speak for all of us. You know, I was listening to you talk then, and I was like, yep, I know every single person that has a touch point with it. You know, any of our clients, Jane, as you're nodding your head there, absolutely. You and your team. You know, Tammy, I know you feel a little bit left out sometimes, but you're on the back processing all the accounts and all the, you know, other bits and pieces that go with it. You know all of our clients by name. Absolutely, you do. And certainly when we do like a little gong in the office, you share in those wins of everybody, you know, also. But I guess I do feel sorry for you every now and then because you don't get to see some of the end products and you don't get to meet
the fun bits.
The fun bits.
And even sometimes like even the clients that are on the call now that are all chatting, and then we'll have like a meetup or they'll come to the office for something, and I'm meeting them like for the first time, but they're like, Tammy, coming in for a hug or something, and I'm like, hi, don't know who you are. And like because they've seen me on these things, they've spoken to me on email, and because you guys all know them from your face-to-face contacts and your Zoom calls and whatever else, then they just assume that I know who everyone is. And sometimes I'm like, who's this?
Junior Herman, Tammy and I cannot make it to the handover on Friday. We've been lumped with some other strategic stuff that we need to take care of at a very, very short notice. We've only got Monday to get it finished. So unfortunately, we've been paper, rock, scissors strategy stuff that we need to get sorted for an external agency. More to follow on that in due course. So we won't be there for the handover, but we'll certainly be there for any sort of housewarming. There are 2 Bs in Robbie. And 2 R's in Turner.
The housewarming, though.
If you get and I'm on Facebook, so you can just follow me on Facebook if you're not already, and invite me to your actual housewarming party where there will be wine and beer, not fucking coffee at 6 o'clock in the morning. All right.
I've already invited everyone anyway. They know that.
Great. Thanks, Jane. All righty. With 1 minute to go, I do have some amazing clients, Dan and Janelle, to speak to down in Canberra. They'll be hurting buddied in lockdown at the moment. But Jane, thank you so much for joining us. We should do this again more often.
Yeah. Good fun.
Yeah, you're way better than Dane.
I don't know. I think Dane's a bit of a superstar. But I'm happy to step in when needed. It's good.
It's actually nice, and I spoke about this in my podcast today with the lovely Tanya, that sometimes Axon gets a bit male-centric and a little bit man-focused. So it was nice to balance out the female sort of thing and to have you on here today. So I'm not the only one here.
Yeah,
I got you back, Tammy. I got you back.
I agree.
I know you do.
Dan, thanks for a ripper session, mate. Your inputs tonight were bloody spot on. Thank you, everyone, for listening in. We'll see you again in 2 weeks. And no, Tammy and I will not have another child between now and 2 weeks. See you later. Have a great night.